Hello, fire signs. This is going to be a reading for Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. We're going to do a separate reading for each sign. We are going to start with Aries. Okay, the first card that we have out is the Chariot. Chariot is connected with Cancer. Chariot is connected with movement. It is connected with strategy. It is connected with needing to figure something out that takes some insight and some forethought. It can also speak about movement that's happening too. So there can be traveling, or there can be a big important move that's being made. Or this can just be something overall that's being figured out that could have posed you with some challenges that now you can be seeing that this strategy that you're using is working. Okay, we also have Queen of Cups, we have Nine of Swords, we have Five of Swords. I'd say that the only thing that can compete to get in your way right now would just be mental stuff that's going on. Like having to do with your thoughts. Maybe too, something was going on and you started to get too in your head about it, and you could have recentered, because Chariot is connected with Cancer and Cancer is connected with your heart, just as Leo is. It's like your emotional center, your heart chakra. This is where Cancer and Leo are centered from. Maybe something was going on where you could have felt like maybe the mental pressure that was happening could have been something where you were like, I gotta make sure that I'm like centered and reconnect with myself, otherwise I'm not going to be able to make it through this. See how this Queen of Cups is leaning towards the Chariot? The Chariot is feeling like something that you needed to do to center or feel a sense of support, whether this be somebody that you reached out to, or like a community that you lean on, or this can just be your own, like reconnecting with your heart, with your spirituality, because the way that this is coming through feels like something that could have felt like it was kind of chasing you down a little bit mentally, but that there's a reaching for this, and it's like, when I'm connected with this, I know that I can get through whatever these things are. And these things are going to be related to your perspective and what's going on within your mind and the thoughts that you're connecting with. But it feels like when I'm strong within my heart center and I'm actively connecting with that, especially when I need that extra support, it's going to help me face whatever this is. So there's something that's challenging going on in the environment. Some of you guys too, you could have, with the Chariot here, you could have gotten away. Maybe you traveled somewhere and that's helping you, or you took like a little trip, or you like reconnected with some loved ones, or you went and visited a grave site or something like that. This feels like something that's going to like bolster you on the emotional, spiritual front and help you with something that's heavily pressing on your mind right now. Yeah, this can be something that you feel kind of anxious about, or maybe overwhelmed by. So I'd say whatever strategy this is that you're using, that it's a good one to be using. It's like when you feel strong within your spirit, there's nothing that's going to be going on within 3D that you're not going to be able to confront. And there can be an acknowledgement of that, like how important that is. You know, Cancer can also be connected with family or chosen family. So it can be connecting with people that you feel like support you too, or it can be connecting with your guides. The word or the name Long Branch is coming through. I see a door that's opening that may have initially freaked you out, maybe because of what you would need to, maybe how you would need to adjust mentally in order to connect with that. But I also see it being a door to, can be a door to a better life. It can be a door to your creativity. It can be a door to connecting with a part of yourself that feels good to connect with. And bring some fire back in as well. So whatever this is that you've been doing that's helping you reinstate your energy essentially so that you can move through this, I'm seeing it be connected with something that has to be addressed because it's a problem for you. It's a problem because this looks like something that, unless this is confronted, it may take away from some important things within your life. It may get in the way of certain things within your life. You know, this can be a problem that you're having where you're like, if I don't confront this, this is diminishing my quality of life in some way, you know, or it's like not really allowing me to feel joyful about the life that I'm living. Something here that had to be confronted, whether this be a situation, it's a person, whatever it is. And it seems like as long as this thing is looming around, it may really take away from something, like an experience that you don't want it to take away from. So it can be you getting to a place where you're really motivated by how you're feeling and how you want to feel and how you want things to be within your environment to what you're going to feel happy with. And whatever this is, I'm getting it be not really easy to deal with. It can be a part of you that would rather go with the flow and have things just kind of unfold in a way where you're not really getting any problems. This seems like one of those moments where it asks you to take action. It asks you to confront the energy, because if you're just passive within this, it feels like it's going to actively be blocking something that you don't want it to block for you. Which I think all ties into you enjoying your life and enjoying what's going on. This is something that will kind of deplete that in some way or take away access from that for you. You know, it's just something that's happening that it pulls your energy into it, kind of like a black hole can be the feeling. And then you're like, this is taking me away from where I want to be or what I want to be experiencing. And I don't feel happy with that. So even though having that Nine of Swords come before whatever this thing is, it can feel like a lot to take this on or just something that you really don't want to have to address. And because we also have Queen of Cups here, this can be the more passive side of us. You know, like this is feeling like a very Cancerian energy to me, where there can be this side of you that is like, I just wish that, you know, the universe would do the work for me and I wouldn't have to do this. This feels like one of those instances where this is kind of like a karmic production of past choices that were made, that now this is the result of that something needs to be done about this to help get things where you want them to be. And so it's kind of like, this can be something that happened because of certain choices that you were making, certain things that inspired choices that you were making, and now it's time for a correction to be made. But yeah, it can be something that overall you're like, I wish that I didn't have to do something about this. I wish, it's the feeling of I wish that this would just take care of itself, but it feels like you're getting more strong within your sense of initiation, knowing I have support that I can lean on, and this is something that's going to help me figure out how to maneuver through this so it's not taking away from me anymore. And things are going to be so much better for it. This thing can be an area of your life that's been stressing you out a lot. Some of you guys, you could have even I'm hearing culling. You could have even taken a break from this. From this person, from this situation, whatever it is. I see mental healing that's happening. Okay, here you are. I'm looking at Cancer, Aquarius, and Aries. I see a new energy that's coming in, but it seems like there's something that has to be dealt with in order for you to fully access that. I'm also seeing you not be in a rush. So there's a door that's opening in your environment. I'm not seeing you race through the door. I'm seeing you know that it's there, but I'm not seeing you be in a rush with this. I think it's because you know that it's kind of like this, okay? You have an opportunity that is newly presenting itself to you, but you know that there's some stuff that you have to deal with in order to be fully present to that. But because whatever this stuff is that you have to deal with, it can be something where it takes a lot of energy to work this stuff out and to deal with this. It can be something that brings up a lot of stuff for you mentally, and so it can be tiring. And so this feels like you may be moving through it more incrementally, like you may be pacing yourself out as you're moving through this and knowing if that door is meant to be open, it will stay open. And I don't need to rush through this. I really want to do it right, and I don't want to go overboard. So there's something big that you're addressing right now. It is going to be like clarifying, in a sense, your path and what you're doing and where you're moving. I think that something ended up happening that could have felt like it was not... I see something about you getting in touch with yourself, with the choices that you're making, with how you want your life to look. Something was going on, something has been going on that needs to be dealt with, that is not allowing for the full expression of this, essentially. You know, it can be something where it's like, this is a problem for me, or I want my life to look like this, but instead it looks like that. This is something that I need to deal with, you know. It can be having to do with your life path, your life direction, your life purpose, what you're doing with in your life. It can be stuff about how you want to be showing up on a personal level, what you want your experience to be. This is all stuff that's tied in with the Emperor. So it's connected with self. So this can be something that was not or has not been allowing you to have the full expression of self that you want to be having. You know, it can be feeling like it's blocking you or getting in your way in some way. And there may have even been a fear of going in that direction. And for some of you guys too, this can even be about like what you're doing with your life and how you're living your life. There may have been, it looks like there are some mental blocks that you're getting over, because maybe you're in a situation, you're like, I'm feeling complacent within this, or I feel like I'm settling and I'm not okay with this, you know, or again, like I want my life to look like this and it looks like that instead, and this is something that I need to be addressing. But I see it be more so like mental stuff that has to be done. Like this feels like psychology type work that's associated with this. And it can be about insecurities, it can be about a lack mentality, it can be about you thinking in a certain way that actually hinders you rather than helps you, but it can feel safe to think in that way. It can be these sorts of things that are being dealt with. So there's a big focus. Having Chariot and having 10 of Cups is about figuring out how to give yourself as much access as possible to your joy within life. And whatever needs to be dealt with because it's hindering access, this is about confronting those things and taking it on. Then having Queen of Cups and having Four of Swords, this is about a time when you can be really taking care of yourself mentally and emotionally. Then having Nine of Swords and having the Star, this is about the direction that you really want to go in. But it can also be the thing that feels scary to do, or there can also be a lot of anxiety about this, about what's going to be happening, about like where the future is leading you, where you're leading yourself here. And I also feel like there's a mental and emotional healing with that Nine of Swords and the Star that's helping you come out of something where you're not buried in your thoughts anymore, but that you're emerging from them. But that's something about the way even that you perceive yourself, had been perceiving yourself, needs to be mended in order for you to be able to move forward. And this can be maybe some area where you felt like broken in some way, having to do with self. It can be like a broken self-image. It can be certain insecurities. It can be places where you do certain things or think in certain ways that oppose what you really want to be doing or experiencing, choices that you really want to be making. This can also be like overcoming some adversity of some sort, but I think that Five of Swords is a deeply psychological card where there can be a break in our thinking that needs to be mended, and having Emperor underneath it feels like it specifically has to do with self in some way, where there was a disconnect even from self that is in the process of healing. And then having Ace of Wands and having Three of Pentacles is about this new opportunity that's coming into your environment, but knowing also like I need to make sure that I'm taking care of myself and I have to address these things so I can be fully present to this great opportunity, because I see a really wonderful opportunity that's presenting itself to you. And I see something that's going to feel very exciting. You may feel excited already about this, but I really feel like it's going to help you take off in a way that you've been wanting to. And it feels like a reintroduction in a way of the fire energy that may really, if you hear that sound, it's, oh, she's chirping at things. This is the type of thing that gives you excitement about life. So it can be a project, it can be a new relationship, it can be like a new adventure, a new work situation. There's something going on that you can really sink your teeth into, and that's what I'm seeing starting to begin. But it's about doing this stuff so you can fully engage with that as it's coming around now. And that this is something that's going to feel like really fully connected for you, where you'll like it hits, like checks off all the boxes for me, all those important ones. So this is about doing all this stuff to get there so you can be fully present to it in the way that you want to be. And yeah, this can maybe be like a bit of a leap of faith that's being taken within your life as well. Right now too, that can be something. It's kind of like, I feel in my heart and soul like this is where I want to be going. I just have to deal with the mental stuff that would that have to be worked out in order for me to get through it. Because it's kind of like these fractured, it can even be beliefs having to do with self that don't allow you to follow your most genuine desired path. So it can be something where it's like, I really want to go in this direction. There can be a fear of like, I'm not going to make it, or I'm not going to be supported, or I'm not going to be wanted, or like this person can do it, but I'm not going to be able to do that for some reason. It will be these types of things, all coming back to having to do with self-image, thoughts specifically, that wouldn't allow you to go where you actually want to be going, and would have you compromising in ways that you don't really want to compromise. but only because something is broken with, like, there's a disconnect with self. That's why. It's not anything in the environment. It's like the environment isn't the problem. It's just a reflection of the psychology. So this can be an awareness of that. But this is also helping you to do that too. Like, this is helping you to, it brings up something that needs to be confronted that's already there, that only through a situation like this would this be exposed. So this is healing that's happening. Because it's bringing about an awareness of something that's already existing, so it can be worked with now. And a lot of confidence is going to be gained through this process too. And I think you're also going to be feeling just more excited about life and also more creative too, more inspired. All right, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank all of you guys for connecting and tuning in. And next we are going to read for Leo. Hi, Leo. The first card that we have out is the Sun. And we also have Two of Swords and we have Page of Cups. You can be focused on a choice that needs to be made, or you can be in a situation where something is still up in the air. This can be about a creative direction. It can be about the direction of, it can be a project. It can be a relationship. It can be about the way that you feel about something, where you want to take something to. Sun is going to be about where you're putting a lot of your attention. And Two of Swords will be something that's undecided, whether it's you that's undecided or just not enough has happened in the environment. And that's where a decision or a choice is going to be made. So the path can be a little bit unclear right now as far as where things are heading. I see something with Page of Cups and Emperor where you can be just starting off with something, Leo. I do get the sense, though, that not everything about this situation has been clarified yet. This can be where so much of your focus is going right now. There's something that's just like a little seedling right now that is being kind of nurtured into being and development, but I'm seeing it be at the very beginning stages. I'm looking at Six of Wands. This looks like something that's going to be a great success for you, having the Emperor be there. But what it does indicate is that it's going to be important for you to be flexible, for you to be open to learning, and for you to show up as fully as possible while also maintaining the understanding that you are still in the process of learning something. So it's like where you do know how to do things, to step up and to do those things, and where you don't know how to do things, to be open to the like learning curve essentially. Because with time, it's like it's all gonna make sense. It's just right now it's not all there yet. But that's part of it. It's like you don't start a process like this knowing everything immediately. Like that's the point of going through something, having the experience and learning what you can from it. But because of that, it may be hard to judge even. Okay, I'm seeing you take a really big chance with this. I'm looking at Uranus and I'm also looking at Aries here. I see something that you can constantly be trying to get a bird's eye view on, but I'm seeing you just have baby wings. So it's kind of like if your wings are not super developed, meaning you're new to this situation, you don't have the wings of a full bird that's matured in a situation like this and understands it fully. So you can only get like high to a certain level. Like if you're trying to get above something to look at it, I'm seeing you still have baby wings, so you can't get like all the way above it. You can get some air here and look at things, but it feels like a limited perspective that you have of this situation. But it seems like you're on the way to fully developing your wings in this situation. And when that happens, that can be when you see a breakthrough that you may not be at that point yet. Now feels like the beginning where you're starting to develop the wings. And because of that, it's like you're seeing from new perspectives all the time that you did not have access to before. As this develops, which it's going to take some time to move through this, it's like your wings get bigger and stronger, and then you can see more and you can see more and you can see more until you get to the point where you're as high as you need to be to see the entire thing. That's what's in the process of happening right now. But yeah, I see like a new experience that you're putting a lot of your time and energy and effort into, and your concentration and your focus, and that you can feel something growing, but you can also know like there's maybe a long way to go within this. But there's not an issue with that. That's natural when you're at the beginning of something. This can be about stabilizing your focus enough that you can really water what you have going on. This can be about needing to put consistent effort into this too. And it can also be helping you become more fluid. Like you can be seeing where you get rigid at times, and then you stagnate emotionally. And spiritually even. Yeah, it's kind of like if you have these certain things that you think that you know about this process, this feels like you're going into a new process. You need to be totally open-minded with this, but because of past experiences that you've had, it's kind of like, let's say that you used to own a company and now you're entering into a brand new company, like totally different concept. You may be trying to carry some of that into this. Some of it is going to be applicable. Others of it, it's going to hold you back because you're not being mentally flexible enough. And so I'm seeing something having to do with that. It feels like you're carrying some preconceived notions or dogma into something that you have going on where you need a fresh mind and a fresh perspective so you can be as absorbent to learn what you need to learn here. And if you are not like that, if you're trying to carry in and apply certain things that don't actually mesh well with this situation, it's going to create issues that don't need to be there. And I see some of that even beginning to happen already. So it can be something where you're trying to make something apply and it doesn't apply to this situation. So this even feels like you need to start at zero. You need to start at the beginning as if this is something entirely new and different. So you have new eyes and fresh perspective here. And that is how you're going to do this. So it can be like you're going to be doing things in different ways than you had been doing before, where it's like, that's not what we were doing before, but that's what's going to be needed here. But you need to be open enough to see when that needs to happen. And if you are stuck in certain ways mentally, certain ways of doing things, thinking, beliefs that are connected with it, it feels like you are going to miss some very important stuff. And it can even be like, this is my idea of how things work. it may be, you may be in such a different situation that things don't really work like that in this situation. But again, if you're trying to come in and apply something that you did to an old situation onto this, it doesn't seem like it's really going to work. You have to give that up. That doesn't mean you don't carry over anything. There are some important things that are going to need to be carried over into this circumstance, but I'm seeing there's definitely some stuff that needs to be let go of that is not going to be helpful to this new situation for you. And it feels like it's going to be missing the necessary tone that's needed here. It's kind of like, depending on the environment that you're in, there can kind of be a different dress code and that there's a need to adapt. It's like that, but I think like mentally what's being applied to this more than anything. Because when we have Emperor and we have Hierophant, this can be a very like rigid and concrete sense of like who I think I am in the given circumstance and how I believe the world to work and how I show up. And there can be something here where it's like there's something needed here. There's some trimming that's needed here so new growth can happen. But I think with Emperor and Hierophant, it's a time when we can have a lot of experience, and our way of kind of ingesting that has been to develop this more concrete sense of self in a circumstance like this, where it feels like you may find that there are different aspects of self that can actually emerge through this process if only you are flexible enough and open enough to that. So it seems like there's some fluidity that's needed here, that if you allow for that, it can be something where you're like, this is who I know myself to be. If you can kind of forget that, your commitment to like keeping that consistent, and you can just see what you feel in this circumstance. It can be like every day I wear purple. Now you find yourself in this circumstance and you're like, when I was window shopping, I saw this blue scarf and something about it spoke to me and I felt that within me. But I wear purple every day, so I can't entertain that. And it's like, nope, that was something that was speaking to you, that was supposed to be incorporated into this. But because of this idea of like, I only wear purple, it's then like not being integrated when that's also supposed to be part of the process. That doesn't mean you can never wear purple again and that you're only going to be blue now, but it can mean that there are some like accent colors that want to come through now, and that it's necessary to do that. But if you're so rigid in like who you've been and how you've been doing things and how stuff works, it feels like it's not going to allow for the incorporation of this new stuff that needs to be coming in. And there can be some outdated stuff that needs to be purged and eliminated now. This will be very like structured, concentrated things that don't really get touched or moved or molded any differently because they're kind of crystallized. This needs to be like a melting down that has to happen because it's blocking your perspective now and it's not allowing you to see clearly, and it feels like it's limiting you. But you don't need to be limited. And this can even be something like, let's use a totally different example. Let's say that you've been going to school for something and there is another major that is speaking to you and you're like, well, I put all of this energy and effort into doing this and like I wrap my identity around this, so even though this thing is starting to feel more relevant to me because I'm resonating more with that, I'm then like not allowing myself to move over there because this was what I committed to and this is where I'm staying. I committed to this belief that this is who I am and this is what I'm doing. And so now this part of your journey that's meant to start being integrated in, you're pushing that away. So it's limiting your potential, your experience, and what you're really even like capable of connecting with and what would be very meaningful for you. So it feels like this is taking you into a place where you're staying somewhere or stay thinking in certain ways that don't even resonate with you any longer or don't resonate as strongly as other things, and you can be pushing away those other things or like not even entertaining those other things that may resonate much more in sync with you now. Like there's a lot more coherence with those things. So whatever this is that you're stepping into, it feels like needing to be open to the flexibility that you may have some very new and different things being incorporated into what you're doing. Because I'm seeing you be at the beginning of a journey that's starting. It's like totally new vibes. But if you come into this with all these preconceived notions about what it is and how things are and how things work and who you are, it feels like it's not going to allow you to see the true way. So you have to be flexible and adaptable energetically. It's really what's going to be needed here. So this can show you where you get rigid within the energy because it can feel safe to have that structure and stability, but then it doesn't allow you to be as in touch. It's like something is going on where the beat changes, but you're still marching to the old beat, and you need to tune in and listen because there's a new beat happening and you need to find the rhythm of that. But if you're like blocking out the new rhythm and only hearing that old rhythm, you're going to be off beat. You're going to feel like you're not in flow. So this is about tuning in, which needs to happen first. There's listening here that's needed. Because this environment, something about this environment is different. And so it needs different things of you. And so it can't be that same old version of you that you try to smush into this that's ultimately out of touch. There's shedding that needs to happen. And there's adjustment that needs to happen. So it feels like this overall flexibility is needed of you because something new is going to develop. But whatever this like old beat was, you may have felt very comfortable because you understood the ins and outs of it, the pulse of that. And so you were like, I can do this dance with my eyes closed. Now you're in a situation where you keep doing that dance with your eyes closed, you're totally off beat. You need to find the new rhythm of this, and that's really going to be helpful to you. It really just is about listening. That's really all that's needed here within this, and that's going to be helpful. And where you'll know that you're sort of blocking this and you need to rewire it is when you feel resonance with something and you feel yourself starting to dismiss it because it feels foreign to you or different than what you were doing before. You have to catch yourself in that moment. You have to have awareness in that moment and be like, why am I dismissing this? It's not because it wouldn't be good to incorporate this. It's just because I'm not used to that. That's where you have to catch yourself and be like, okay, need to be more flexible here, need to incorporate this, and that's really going to be the key to it. So it'll be a very natural process the way that this happens. You don't need to pour gasoline on everything and light it all on fire, because there is going to be some stuff, some pieces of the old dance that you were doing, it is going to be relevant to this, but you need to listen enough to know which parts of it are going to be relevant, because not all of it is going to be relevant to this, okay? So yeah, I think stillness, tuning in, listening, this feels like a lot of you need to observe before you're like, this is the way that we're marching, when it's like you're about to march into some quicksand there because you're not looking at what's going on in the environment. You need to tune in. And then it will tell you. Just by tuning in, you'll be like, okay, I see that. This is what's needed from me. This is what I need to do. And then you'll just automatically know what to do. I'm seeing Taurus and I'm hearing Virgo. I'm seeing Taurus and I'm seeing Aries here. We also have Scorpio on the bottom of the deck, and we have Uranus, and we have the Sun and Pluto, all of them. Your challenge within the circumstance is to see everything clearly and not be so used to the old lens that you're like totally missing that you're in a new environment and there are different things going on. Because this is a new cycle that you're in. All right, we are going to leave the reading here. Thank you everybody for connecting and tuning in. And last, we are going to read for Sagittarius. All right, Sagittarius, this reading is going to be for you. I'm using the Radiant Tarot for this reading. Okay, we have Temperance coming out. This is your card. I'm also seeing Two of Cups and I'm seeing the Hanged Man. Okay, immediately there can be something going on with a connection. Things can feel like they are not on schedule right now. So it can be you needing to be patient with the direction that things are going in. There can be some adjustments that are needed. And it also feels like if you're trying to apply a schedule to this in any way, you may find that things are not happening like that. Like if you have created a timeline or an itinerary for something here, something that you are very much connected with, it seems like all of that is kind of going out the window no matter how much you try to plan or be prepared for this. This may ask for mental adjustment constantly. It may ask for surrender constantly. It may ask for you to have a new perspective constantly, and ultimately for flexibility and letting go and having to find the rhythm of the flow of this. It's like something is still working itself out is the way that this seems. What this means too is that you may not know how much of a fit this is yet. Hanged Man can indicate there are certain things that have not been clarified yet. There can be some big question marks on this. And let's say this too, because we have Neptune here. If there are any parts of you that when you're being shown something, if you want to believe that things are a particular way and you don't want to, sometimes when we want to believe something so badly, even if we're being shown contrary evidence to that, we can sort of dismiss it. So you can be working with your own avoidance of what's actually going on. Because I think with the energy of Sagittarius, having this be connected with Jupiter, it can be like we can see the potential of something and what something can be, but sometimes we're being shown a reality that doesn't align with the perceived potential. And then we can get into a space where it's like, is it still probable that it can unfold in the way that I saw the potential to be? Or am I being shown evidence as far as what's going on within 3D that even though the potential is there, that's not actually going to happen? So you can be in a space where I don't know if you've seen enough yet to be able to gauge this. It can be something that you're not ready to retire at this point. You're like, I'm still working with it. Having Temperance and having two of Cups is like, I'm still doing something here. So with Hanged Man, it feels like something is still taking shape that hasn't fully taken shape yet. But there can also be another side of things, having Eight of Cups and having Knight of Cups here, where you are wondering if this is actually going to work in a way that would make it worth it to you to stay involved in this. Because I'm seeing an Eight of Cups and I'm seeing a Knight of Cups. So there can be a part of you that's entertaining looking around outside of this situation, whether this be, I don't know if this like career track or this particular job is going to pan out, but I need a little bit more time with it to see, you know, the way that the Hanged Man is, it feels like something is still kind of on the fence and it's not totally decided. But then there can be that bigger question of, is that actually true, or am I just avoiding some like truth that I need to be looking at here? Especially within 3D, because these energies can be, you can be seeing what something could be, but is that really how it's going to land within 3D? You could see the capacity or the potential of something, but is that actually going to be reached? You could see possible directions that things can go in, but is it actually going to go in that direction? So there's something that you're involved in where you have a lot of this that's going on, where it feels almost like you can't really force things. It's like every time you maybe feel like you're trying to get it to like tell you something or take a particular shape so that you can see it a bit more, it may kind of like slip through your fingers a little bit, can be the feeling. Like maybe just a lack of clarity with this. I wonder if because of having Neptune here, if as Neptune moves, stations direct and moves towards Aries, or like actually breaks through into Aries, that can be when this situation ends up being clarified for you. So it may still be a little bit of time. I don't have my phone over here, but yeah, I'm thinking that around the time that Neptune moves into Aries once again is when you can be seeing this, where it will be more concrete about what's really happening here in this circumstance, where it will push you one way or the other. So while this is happening, I think that there's also something going on where you are open to the possibility that this may not work. I don't think that would be a huge surprise, but it feels like it's still up in the air where you're like, there's a possibility that this could work, but there's also a possibility that this might not work. So I think that it could really, the feeling is that it could go either way here within this circumstance, but that you're not going to be surprised if this doesn't end up panning out. I feel like there's an acknowledgement, even if you don't want it to go that way, I see there's still being realistic about this, where like it might not work out. I don't think things are going the best right now though. So maybe that's also what's pushing you into a space where like, I do need to be realistic about the way that I see this, because if it stays like this, that's definitely not going to work. You know, you can feel like you're chronically not getting something that you need. I feel like you're in a circumstance where you're given such a limited amount of what you need to work with. It's like you've been given, I think, below the bare minimum of what you would need here within this. It's like you've been told that you need to make a 3-course meal and you were given a potato and some water. And you're like, how am I going to pull this off? It feels like something like maybe kind of impossible. But with Temperance, I don't know. Like maybe you can make some magic happen here with this. Like maybe there's some like ingenuity that's needed, or some like grand magician creativity here that you could do with this circumstance, where you're gonna flip this around and like make it work somehow. The other side of this is that maybe you're not willing to admit that you've only been given a potato and some water, and that this is like nearly impossible. So there can be a part of you that's like, I'm not ready to give it up. I'm still determined. Like maybe you feel like you haven't explored every avenue and you're still trying to like quantify whether this is actually possible or not. And you haven't gotten there yet. Like, are you in total denial about this situation? Or is there maybe some like divine inspiration that you can connect with and somehow make this possible? I think you're still motivated to be here doing this. So maybe even though you're in this seemingly impossible circumstance, it can still very much be somewhere you want to be, and you can still believe in it and believe in the potential of it. And that definitely is real. It's something that's coming through that I'm seeing. The word doggone is coming through. I do get the feeling, Five of Pentacles and Two of Cups feels like, are we actually going to make it? Is this possible? Is this really going to work? Maybe you're also like hoping for a little bit of a miracle here too. I feel like in some scenarios, when you're faced with a situation like this, your stubbornness can help you like make something that would other people may give up on, and you're like, well, I stuck with it and it ended up being possible because of that. I feel like there's that side of things, and then there's this other side where you're like, am I just being stubborn here? But the thing about all this is that like I don't really know. This doesn't feel like a black and white situation. It feels like something beyond that. And that can be something where you're like, well, I'm just not done working with that yet. Like I need more clarity still. So you could still be participating. And it's like, if this is still what you want to be doing, which we have Two of Cups and Ace of Wands, like you still want to be here doing this, why would you need to give it up? Like you can be in some like very, very challenging circumstance. It's like a plant that's on the verge of death, but it's not technically dead yet. So it's not that black and white, like it's dead and it's 100% not coming back to life. It's like, what if you keep loving it and keep putting it in the sun and you keep watering it and like telling it how beautiful it is and how much you love it? And it's like maybe one day you'll poke your finger in the dirt and like move some stuff around and see that something's about to like break through down there, you know, and it's been growing all along. It can be something like that. Where I think that it's this point where you're like, I feel like this still has unlocked potential. And so even though there's this part of you that is like, I know that there's a world that exists outside of this. Like, you know, I'm not so focused on this that I'm like, this is the be all end all, the only thing. I know that there's more beyond this, and that there's like, yeah, there's more outside of this. But this is where I feel a calling to be right now. And yeah, I don't know if you're like ready to give that up. You may be so involved in this that until you see like it's 100% dead, you're still gonna keep doing this. Like until there's like 100% no possibility that this is gonna like grow and be robust, like until you know there's no chance of life here within this circumstance, it may be something that you stay connected with, at least for now anyway. Maybe there are also, this could be one of those circumstances where, let's say we have 3 very important categories that we need things to be going on in all of those categories to feel like we have sufficient sustenance to be involved in a cycle. There may be 2 out of the 3 things that are there, but there may be one very major important thing that is not there within the circumstance. And that can be something that's being assessed, and it's like, can this work without this? It may potentially be able to work, but are you going to feel like there's some essential nutrients that's missing? And how essential is that? You know, is this something where it's like you need to do some like mental configuration? Or is it something, again, where it's like, I want to believe so badly. I feel like there's still hope for this to work, honestly. I don't think that this is a done deal. And I think that your assessment of things here not being black and white is accurate. I think that you're looking at this perspective as realistically as possible, knowing there is a chance that this might not work, and my whole world is not going to end if that is the case, but this is still where I want to be. And maybe for some of you guys too, you're like, unless something better comes along here, why do I need to be entertaining something else? You know, like maybe you're waiting to see if something would come up and there would be some, it would prove like competition for this. That may be something that you consider, but I don't really see anything like that popping up right now. But then it's like, is that not popping up because you're not open to it or because you're not looking for it? That can be something too with this. Some of you guys, I will say, there can be something that is really meaningful and important to you that you can get from this circumstance, and there may be something else, something separate that's really important to you that you may not get in this circumstance. So it can be like, maybe you feel very spiritually connected with something, but maybe physically in some way you're not going to get what you need from it. It feels like it does have something that's very, very important, but it may be missing or lacking something else that's also very, very important. So I wonder too if maybe an adjustment or like what you're expecting may potentially evolve, you know, to not expect something that this is not going to cultivate. You know, like if you're growing an orange tree, you're not going to look at that and be like, where are all the bananas? Like, why aren't the bananas growing? It's like, it's an orange tree. You're not going to get that from it. You know, there can be something like this where there's a need to just make sure that you're being very realistic. And if you come to the conclusion that you desperately like need bananas as well, you know, you're going to have to get a banana tree. But maybe also with oranges, there's something that you need there too, you know? I just feel maybe like this is a situation that possibly doesn't cover all of the necessary bases for you. And this can be anything. It can be a relationship. It can be like a resource type of thing, you know, like maybe this is about a job that you really love, but you may need another job like as a secondary income or something like that. Maybe this has to do with a relationship that you're like, I wish that it checked all the boxes. Like we have really good maybe chemistry with each other, but on a practical level, like as far as daily living, something is like not really meshing, you know? So there can be like a bit of a mismatched energy with this. And so then it comes to this point where it's like, what are you going to do about a situation like that? Are you going to keep going the way that you are? Are you going to maybe keep doing this and incorporate something else? Or are you going to abandon it entirely and find something that will more holistically cover the bases? And those are your options. But maybe something is going on here where you don't feel totally ready to do that yet and like make a decision about this because you're still working with it. I'm just seeing Sagittarius here, and we also have Neptune. I see you really not want to give up on this. It's like, if there's any way, I want to be here. Maybe for some of you guys too, something could have happened recently. I don't know if this is just like you with you, or something happened with you and this situation, this person, whatever's on the other side of it for you. Something could have happened recently that really like put you down in some way. It could have felt like very discouraging. Could have like, you could have been like, oh, that killed me. Maybe something like that a little bit here. I'm seeing it's a situation that it already happened, but yeah, there may have been something that happened that really like put you out, where it's like it caught you mid-flight and it kind of like body slammed you to the ground a little bit. This could maybe make you change the way that you're doing things, but I also see a desire to see things through simultaneously. It's weird because I see this combination of both wanting to be direct with whatever circumstance this is. Like, it may be in your nature to go in and to figure it all out and to make sense of everything, but it almost seems like this situation, it doesn't allow you to like pin it down or tie it down enough to do that. There's like something very evasive, like something can still be eluding you about this. And this can also be something that it doesn't really allow you to be maybe in control in a way that you would like to. Like, this may be a situation where there's no way to control it. It's like trying to catch air in your hand. Like, how do you do that? I see a situation like that where it's like, if you're given a ball, you know how to catch that. Like, it doesn't matter how fast it's coming at you. You got great hands. You'll be able to do it. It's like, for some reason with this situation, it's just this thing you can't get a hold of and you can't get a grasp of. So it doesn't matter how much. It's like every time you go to like pinpoint it, it like somehow like moves out of the way or like morphs or something like that, where you just like can't get a grip on this thing. But maybe there's also a part of you that's entertained by that. Even if that can be simultaneously frustrating, there can be a part of you that sees this as being like kind of like a game or like sort of challenging. So yeah, there can be a part of you that's like, some days when I don't feel like playing the game, I wish that this was easier and it was just like more straightforward. But other times there's a part that's like up for it. But is it a dangling carrot? You know what an important question to ask yourself about this is, if this cycle feels, how does it feel to you? Does this cycle feel empowering to you? There's something really important about that. You know, when you think about whatever this is, how does that feel and how does that sit with you? Like, how does that even feel within your energy centers? How does that feel emotionally to you? Does this situation feel empowering to you, or does it feel like a power struggle? And I think that may clarify something important to you about like what really the essence of this is. You know, like, is this something that you actually feel like kind of miserable within it and you can't let it go and you feel frustrated by it, but there's like some kind of misery involved in it, or something that like hurts even for some of you guys? Or is this something that you see as being like a good type of challenge and it's like rewarding? You know, is this something that's kind of like there's a word that I'm looking for here. It's like kind of synonymous with being embarrassed or something like that. It's like, is this a cycle that feels kind of like humiliating to be involved in? That is the word. Does this feel like that to you, or does this feel empowering to you? And that can tell you something, because I think with a situation like this, if it doesn't feel empowering, this can low-key be something that you're putting yourself through, where this can be coming, there can be some wounding that's motivating this, you know? There can be this, like, I don't feel good within myself, or like, I don't feel like I'm enough, or I feel like I have to work really hard because I just don't deserve things to be easy, or like I have to work to like prove something here, to prove my worth in some way. You know, it can be something like that, or there can be something about status for some of you guys involved in this too. But yeah, whatever it is, you just have to ask yourself, is this like ultimately something that like feels kind of humiliating to you, or is this something where it's like you talk about it and the feeling that you get when you're talking about it, you know, somebody's like, hey, what are you up to, what are you involved in? If you were to tell the truth about what this situation is, what would come out of your mouth? And I think that can really be telling you something here. You know, like if you were to have a conversation with one of your guides about this, or like your higher self, or like some, whatever you believe in, that knows when you're telling the truth, so you would only bother to tell the truth having that conversation. It's like, really, what would come out of your mouth at that point if you're describing like what's going on here and really how you're feeling about it? Because it's not just an intellectual thing. It's not just about your thoughts about this. It's about how you're feeling energetically being involved in this. And like, is this uplifting, or is it putting you down in some way? Like, what's motivating you to keep going? It's like that feeling where, you know, when you do something because you're doing it, but it almost feels wrong to be doing it, and it kind of like hurts to be doing it, but it hurts in a way where it may, it's like when we do something self-destructive, that feeling that comes with it because we're like not in a good place with ourselves. You know, does it have like that essence to it, or is it something else? You know, do you think that you deserve to suffer or struggle, or that like things just have to be hard? That you don't deserve your needs to be met? You know, this can also be something too where it's like maybe you were neglected in the past, and you feel neglected also in this situation too. So it's just you like playing that out once again, like trying to work that out psychologically. Having to like fight for attention or something like that. All right. We are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everybody for tuning in and connecting. I am sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.